My Instagram algorithm, it goes down all the rabbit holes because I'll chase a rabbit.
Mine too.
And then I'll try 85 different reels. And then now it just thinks these are all the reels you want.
Yeah.
So it's some combination of Flat Earth or Family Guy or why the Patriots need to rise up against the Democrats, or did you subscribe to my OnlyFans? I'm like, yep, that was a bouncing boob. That's why that's in there. That makes sense.
I blame the girls on a friend of mine.
Yeah.
That like he sends.
Oh yeah. That's where I get all mine too.
He's like, he sends you something and it's like, now I'm going to get.
Yeah, I think
forever.
Chris bringing that up, I've noticed that Instagram, even Facebook, man, once it thinks you like one thing, to me, it goes all in on it.
It goes all in. Yeah,
like
it does.
mine's been all in.
Heaven forbid you click on like an ad for a pair of boots or like a shirt.
Retargeting they own your ass.
Oh yeah. If the second you if it does catch your eye, you're screwed. You might as well just buy it because
that's what the Lucchese did that to me.
Yeah,
I just happened to look one day and
boom.
Think I know I was
There's
living
a pair
in the
of
ads.
alligator skins.
Well, it was ostrich.
But
blue ostrich boots are now in my house. I have my airport tennis shoes on today, and so I don't really take boots when I travel too much.
You did the B&A run.
Unless I do a suitcase.
Yeah.
But I laugh because I said, like, if I hit this new wicket that I'm chasing for 24, I'm going to go buy these Cayman boots that Lucchese has, because once I got the ostrich, they were like, did you know that there's also this? And it's just like, it's got the Cayman tail right down the middle. I was like, it looks fire.
You need them.
And I don't need them, but I want them so badly.
Yeah.
And then they were like, for $1,500, this is a steal, sir.
It's a steal.
And if you get on our mailing list, we'll give you 10% off. And I was like, I may subscribe to your mailing list and then just unsubscribe just to save $150.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I'm petty like that.
For sure. You should take the advantage.
What's the brand of those again?
Lucchese.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like this high-end boot company.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
that's a step up from
Tecovas. Yeah, Tecovas. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say
Tecovas doesn't have any $1,500 boots, do they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah. Tecovas. The difference
those,
in Lucchese and Tecovas is Tecovas is direct to consumer.
Okay.
You have to go to Tecovas to buy their boots, and Lucchese you can go to a retailer.
Gotcha.
And buy them. You could buy them direct, or you could go.
Yeah, like you could go to Boot Barn and get a Lucchese.
Yeah.
You can't get it at Tecovas there.
You've got to buy from Tecovas retail or Tecovas website.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if they want to sponsor us.
Yeah.
I like my Tecovas boots though. They're nice.
I mean, I wear these. These are.
I've never actually bought a pair. Yeah. But now I might after this. Just so I can be like, hey, based on this podcast, I heard you guys were sponsoring a free pair of boots for all three of us.
Yeah. See, there we go.
I can always sponsorship.
I'm gonna go ahead and need you to just give us some boots, and I'll wear them on the next one when I come back.
Well,
I can always.
Chad does an event twice a year at Tecovas boot store. So
yeah.
We do an event with one of our partners, and forgoing, the partner will do like a gift card toward a pair of boots, and it's a pretty substantial gift card. So
that's awesome.
I'll have to remember you and send you an invite. It's it's not timeshare like, it's a whole lot less painful than a timeshare.
He's like, but it'll be 90 minutes if you wondering why you're still in here.
Yeah,
it's actually not that bad.
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
It's actually a really cool demonstration of how their AI works while you're eating lunch. And the lunch is typically at 60 Vines at 5th and Broad. So the lunch is good. The conversation is usually really good.
There you go.
And it's kind of why I've agreed to do it multiple times, is because it's not
salesy.
Yeah. Because I don't like
You're
those.
against that.
Yeah, I don't like those.
Yeah.
I don't like being sold to.
Yeah.
Like the world
How do you
we're
ever
in,
buy things if you don't like being sold?
Yeah, maybe I like it subliminal, like popped up in my Instagram.
Well, salespeople don't like being sold to, right?
Just like retargeting. Oh, I love being sold to.
Do you?
Oh, I love it. But I'm like all relationship.
Yeah.
Like I can't do. It's so funny. I don't really take new clients anymore because the transactional nature of like where financial advising kind of is. You know, It's people, hey, I just need to buy life insurance. What's your quote? I'm like, yeah, bro, I can't help you.
Yeah.
I don't even look because I don't care. Because like the second you say, what's your quote? I'm like, you've put me in this like defined little commodity box.
Yeah. And I'm shopping you.
And you don't have a clue how much more value I have. And you also don't have a clue how many more problems you probably have. And you don't care because you're looking at one finite piece of time.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's, well, let's just say 100 insurance companies. There's actually more than that. Let's just say there's 100 of them. 95 of them are probably going to be cheaper than what I recommend you.
Yeah.
But 95 of them also suck.
Yep.
So if you just want something cheap so you can just rubber stamp the box and they may or may not pay you when you die, you should go buy that one.
Go get the cheap one.
Or here's the 5 to 8 that we really like.
Yeah.
They're a little more expensive, but they have a really good track record of actually paying you for a claim. So why don't we just use those?
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, yeah, I would really hate to pay this for 20 years and then not get $1. I'm like, see? That's why we do relational stuff. Mm-hmm. And so when they getting them out of the order taker status and then having to kind of self-discover why there's a deeper meaning behind some of these things, that's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Y'all two are on the same wavelength,
for sure.
I think, from a sales perspective,
100%.
for sure. Let's get our guests introduced.
Yeah, hit it.
Chris Robinette, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate
brother.
your
Thanks
time.
for the
man.
invite. Yeah.
Thanks for getting off the plane and coming straight here.
Straight here.
Straight here. That's awesome.
I was actually worried when they said there was fog in Nashville. I was like, man, if we're delayed.
I know. Well, we appreciate you coming. So you're with Lighthouse Planning. You're the owner, CEO, right?
I'm the janitor, the owner, CEO,
Chad always
head
uses
founder.
that line.
Yeah, that's what I am. I'm the janitor here.
I'm trying to.
No, you are.
I'm trying to get someone else to stock the storage room. So I think we got the intern covering that now. So,
That's awesome.
you know, it's one less thing I got to carry around. So.
And you've been in business or have owned Lighthouse for 5 years, 6 years, something like that?
I came out of the Navy in 2011.
Yeah.
Came straight into financial planning down in Brentwood, Tennessee, and then co-founded a firm with 7 other people in into 2015, going into 2016, and it exploded. Like, it was amazing. Like, just the quality of the financial planners we had. We ended up growing it to like 23, all around kind of the region. So some Chattanooga, Knoxville, Brentwood, Memphis. Then we had some like Arkansas, Mississippi, and
you ended up growing it to 23.
23 different planners.
23. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it kind of got one of those like too big, it did fail, because then you'd get the guys in Mississippi arguing about what the guys in Nashville were doing, and so it kind of all molded together into this great, like, this could be amazing, and then it kind of went up and then it toppled over. So in 2019, a lot of us were all like, we should probably just go build our own brand and our own story. So most of us kind of fractured away from that. And so that's where the story of Lighthouse came from, because this other firm, while it was great, I didn't like the story behind the name with the logo and how it didn't feel like my, like, I don't know.
You weren't bought into
like,
it 100%.
It wasn't my recovery story where I'm like, this is why I want to tell you why we should be doing this. Yeah. And coming out of the Navy for 11 years, instantly I was like, if I was to make my own brand, I would want something nautical. But I want something that could last for forever, you know. So like when we were brand testing,
legacy, right?
When we were brand testing names back in 2015, it was like oak, wood, and heritage, and like you know, strong, stout, hundreds of years of stuff. Yeah. And we ended up not going with any of those. And so when I was thinking Navy, you know, there's lighthouses that were built 1,000 years ago that are still in use today.
Yep.
And they've been hit by every storm imaginable.
They're still there.
And they've been broken, they've been rebuilt, they've been added onto, they've grown. And so as I was thinking about that financial planning journey for all of our clients that I already had, it was really, what are the rocks that people constantly just wreck their life on? And to me, it was directly right back into the Navy. Like, when you're out in deep water, you're really not going to hit anything. You can't screw anything up. But you still got to get back to port. You still have to make transitions. You still have to go through shallow water from time to time and pay attention to what you're actually doing. So life is the same way. Like, there's so much in life that you can go through and you don't have to make a tough decision. And it's not going to screw anything up if you're like, oh, I'll go do this instead of that. Or, hey, we're at the Red Lobster or the Olive Garden. Like, it's not a big life decision on where you're going to hate yourself 2 hours later, right?
Yeah. And Cheddar Bay biscuits are
them Cheddar Bay biscuits are delicious, though. But them unlimited breadsticks, I mean, you got to weigh the balance. You got to weigh the balance.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm bringing back my childhood. So, anyways, the biggest thing I thought about in my world when it comes to like planning, the 3 largest risks that I kind of ran into were debt, cash flow, financial understanding. Mm-hmm. And so when we were kind of crafting out the logo with my friend Ariana, who built all of this with me in 2019, you know, she's just kind of like, tell the story, talk me through it. Let's see how we can build that. And so when she ended up building the logo, she built 3 different rocks right into it. That's and awesome. She's like, hey, here's the 3 biggest themes that you kept saying. And I was like, oh, wow. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, we kind of built the story now around like, hey, here's the things that you would wreck your ship on. Like, here's the 3 biggest things that would cause you to be marooned on this island. But then if you can build your lighthouse, you know, so then we built the 3 levels. So we're like, hey, protection, wealth accumulation, then efficiency. You get those things all stacking up. You go up on top, you can flip the light on because now you're financially independent. Yep. But you're showing out the example to everyone else around you. So kids, charities, family, next generation, 5 generations from now are all like, hey, how do you want to avoid these rocks? Well, if you turn 15 degrees this way and actually stay in deep water because you didn't do what Dad did, allow my lessons or my failures to become your lessons, and then instill that and pass it along, more people can get back to port safely. And then everything we did was actually demonstrated and proven to be successful, even if it was built on the back of failure. Yeah. And that just resonates with me way more than you need me forever, so you should keep me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. So it was fun because it was nautical. Mm-hmm. And I went to the Naval Academy. So our colors are blue and gold.
Blue and gold.
For like Naval Academy. So that's kind of where Lighthouse's theme for our company. Mm-hmm. But then it's also the Preds colors. Yep. And then Nashville SC showed up, and they're like, "Well, we want to be blue." I'm like, "This, I couldn't have picked a better color."
No, all we need is the Titans to change
We just
their
need
colors.
the Titans need to change something, but so do the Preds right now. So
appreciate your service, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for your service. That's awesome. You said you put in 11 years.
You know, that's my brother and I have talked about that a lot. Like, I guess technically the Preds are first, right?
Yeah.
One of the coolest thing about Pittsburgh is that all their teams
they're all the same color.
Are black and yellow.
You can literally go from a hockey game to a football game.
And wear the same shirt.
Or like, yeah, exactly. The Preds have had it before. Like they've had a Titans game, then a Preds game that night.
Yes.
And you literally are like, oh, I got to walk to my car and change. Yes. You know?
Yeah.
But could you imagine in Pittsburgh? It's just you could literally go wear your Steelers gear and then go to a Penguins game because you can wear your Penguins hat to the football game and a Steelers shirt, and they both just work.
And I don't know in the beginning that they necessarily had it all mapped out like that. They couldn't have known. Yeah. You know, that 30, 40 years down the road that it was going to be what it is, but I'm like, dang, man. Well, why didn't they get together?
Well, the Titans are Tennessee Titans, too. We got to keep that in mind, right? We're Nashville Predators, Nashville SC.
They are, which I still think's weird.
Yeah. It is weird, but you got to keep that in mind, that it caters to the whole state.
Because
so you're saying teardrop blue is the state color?
Yeah. The state colors.
You're also bringing the Oilers colors, right? You brought that in.
Now that is the throwback heritage that I get that.
Yeah. That's where it comes from.
Yeah. And that dark red line.
Yeah. And maybe until the ownership goes away, sells off, or new ownership comes in, it's going to be that color.
The state colors, Pantone 151C.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like a beige.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Tennessee orange.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Tennessee orange is Pantone 151C.
I thought that was trademarked by UT Knox.
You can't trademark the Pantone. You can trademark the color.
That's it. Yeah. But that is the color. That's the state color.
So 11 years in the Navy. You're from Oklahoma originally?
Originally.
Is that right? Okay.
Born and raised.
So you came to Tennessee after the Navy?
Yep.
Okay.
OU fan?
Yes, unfortunately. I love Oklahoma football. Yeah. I grew up in the early 80s. My mom was at OU Dental School, and so she had student and faculty tickets.
Yeah.
And so that was the Barry Switzer, so like 85 and 88. And then I was old enough to start appreciating football in the 90s when we were horrible. But then Stoops showed up. Yeah. And then it was like just on a tear again. And it was amazing.
So Heupel might have been your first favorite quarterback.
He was. He
Josh
actually
Heupel?
Was. And so when he came to Tennessee, I was like, all right.
Right now, he's my favorite coach.
Yeah, he's doing well.
But so I laughed because I was in Oklahoma from basically 0 to 17. And then the Navy from 17 to, 2 months before my 18th birthday to like a month after my 29th birthday.
How do you find the Naval Academy? I'm interested in that.
How did I find it?
Yeah. So, or how did it find you?
That's a great question. So, the end of my junior year of high school, I've already taken the ACTs, done the SATs. I'm already getting like college offers everywhere on the academic side because we moved when I was in 8th grade out to our ranch. And so my mom basically was like, no more sports. I'm not sitting around waiting for you. And then driving 30 minutes home, like you're done with football. You're done with everything else. So, but I always felt like I was smart. She kept telling me I was smart. So then I was like, well, I guess I better get good grades because, when you're subliminally programming your children, you got to do good. So I started getting all these scholarships, but, my dad was Air Force. All my grandparents, or like uncles, were some form of Army or Marine Corps.
Okay. Yep.
So we never really had a Navy person. And my dad went to Boys State. So every state has Boys State, and then there's Boys Nation, like right after that. And so my dad, as I'm rounding out junior year, is like, hey, you should go apply for Boys State in Oklahoma because I went to Boys Nation, so you could go to Boys Nation. And I was like, I don't even have a clue what this is. So I go down and talk to the counselor, and she's like, yeah, applications are due tomorrow. And it's like this. I was like, oh.
Thanks.
I'm on it. And so I stayed up all night, applied. Somehow I won and got it. I think it's because I'm probably the only person in my school that did apply. So they just like, I guess you get it. So I go to Boys State, and I meet this major who was actually at Fort Campbell. And then he was a Green Beret. And so he's like kind of working out, taking me on runs. And because there's like stuff they're doing, but there's nothing I'm really interested in. And then there was this kid that showed up. He was running our class, and he was a sophomore at West Point. So now I got this Green Beret major who like I'm working out with each day and like hanging out with because he's like running our little battalion. And then the kid that's actually in charge of us, so we don't get lost, is a sophomore at West Point. And so they're all in on the Army.
They're grooming you to
and
be
they're
an Army
like,
kid.
why aren't you going to an academy? Like, why haven't you like to all of us, not just me, you know? And then the guy that won Boys Nation that became was the governor of our Boys State class. They were like, well, what's the one thing you want? He's like, I'm going to Boys Nation to tell the president that I want to be a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy. And because I'm here, I should get a nomination. And I was like, I don't think that's how that works.
But
okay. And then the guy that was like, he's like, actually, that is exactly how that works. I'm like, really? Like, so if I would have gone Boys Nation, I could have gone whatever.
Yeah.
And so my dad went to the Air Force Academy, got medically discharged, had to go limited duty. So he did Louisville ROTC. And so I laughed because now this guy's got it in my head. This one dude's chirping about West Point, and this other dude's like, oh, I'm going to the Air Force Academy. And I was sitting there, and I started looking at all the branches, and I was like, all right, if I did decide to go to an academy, which one would I go to? Well, the Navy has more planes than the Air Force does. At the Naval Academy, you can go Marine Corps or Navy. So you can literally go ships, air, Marine ground, Marine armor, Marine Special Forces, Navy Special Forces, Naval Air, or Marine Corps Air, or EOD, or medical, or you could actually transfer to the Army or the Air Force from the Naval Academy. And I was like, well, if I went to the Air Force Academy and I don't end up flying, you drove a desk. They have a lot more stuff now, but in the early 2000s, they did not. You go to the Army, they're like, cool, you just want to live in the dirt. you're not really going to fly or do anything else. So I literally was finished Boy State, came home, told my mom, I was like, I think I'm going to apply for the Naval Academy. And she's like, hell you are. I was like, why not? She's like, you're not joining the military. Where did you just come from? Like, and she's like, I know I shouldn't have sent you up there to that blasted school for a week.
Yes, it's my fault.
And so I'm in the middle of summer vacation, and I'm like debating this whole applying and have to get a packet.
Junior year?
Going into senior year.
Going into your senior year.
Going into my senior year. And so I have to apply, and it's got all this stuff you got to do. And my mom's like just chirping me about like, are you sure? Like, this is an actual commitment, and you've never committed to anything long term in your life. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess now's the time.
Yeah.
And so my dad loved it because my dad wanted me to go to Air Force, but he was like, if you went to the Naval Academy, I'll come up every weekend and see you. And he did my whole
That's awesome.
My freshman year. He bought all 4 seasons he bought football tickets. So he'd come up to all the home games, like basically all 4 years when he could. But my freshman year, I was like writing letters home, like, what did I get myself into? How dare you let me come up here? I'm quitting, like, let me out. And my mom, who didn't even want me to go, she was like, well, you're a Robinette. You're not allowed to quit. So you have to finish what you started.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not letting you quit.
I love it.
And then my dad's like, why would you quit? You scared? Don't be scared. Like, you got this. I'll come up and visit you more. Like, this is something amazing. Your whole family loves that you're up there. And so then, you know, it's like the dad guilt.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, maybe I won't quit. And after I was there 3-4 months, and settled into the routine of all of it. Because I went from Oklahoma City, landlocked, to on the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
And on the river, you know, where the Severn meets the tide. And PTing every day.
Yeah.
And doing stuff that I had never really even tried doing because since I quit sports 5 years earlier. I was like...
Getting up at 4 a.m. every morning. Doing workouts.
5:15, yeah.
5:15.
Yeah.
And then you fully work out and you get back. You have to be fully showered and then in the hall ready to do like a chow call to let everybody else know, hey, formation's in 15 minutes. And you have to be fully ready, print proper and everything. And that's the whole first year. And I didn't do a site visit. Like everybody's like, oh, we go do all these college campus visits. I didn't go. I did no site visit.
You just went straight there.
I went straight there. The internet was still on dial-up at my house. There was no I did not do a lot of research into the actual grounds or what goes down because I probably wouldn't have gone.
What year did you graduate high school, Chris?
2000.
2000, yeah.
And then 2004 from the academy.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going up there next week for our 20th.
We're 1999 kids.
Yeah,
so,
y'all look kind of old, so that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Jason does, I know. I trimmed all the gray out of my beard.
So 11 years in, you spent most of your time at sea? Or
No, off and on.
Off and on?
So 2000 to 2004 was Naval Academy. Then 04 to 06 was Pearl Harbor. And then we were in Iraq in 05. So, you know, we left, went and got my surface warfare designator mid 2005, then met the ship in Thailand. So I had to actually fly back out. They gave me 2 weeks off because I was in surface warfare school up in Rhode Island, Connecticut area. And then went and saw my mom for 2 weeks in Oklahoma because she was terminally ill, cancer. And then flew out, met the ship in Singapore, Thailand. You know, we were rolling out to Iraq. So did that all the way until December of 05, cruised back, did Guam for a little bit, and then went to Charleston. Got my nuclear engineering degree in 06 to 07. 07, went to Norfolk, Newport News, built the Bush aircraft carrier. So number 2 reactor plant was our child. Number 2 main machinery room was like my division that I ran for the 2.5 years I was there. Left there in 09, went to Oklahoma, was at the ROTC unit there. It was a hot fill bill that opened up. I was going to go to UNC Chapel Hill, get an MBA, teach ROTC, and then the Oklahoma bill that opened as a hot fill. So I shifted because I listed it as my number 1 option, like if it showed up.
If it was ever there.
Because I always wanted a degree from Oklahoma. Yeah. But since I undergraded at Navy, I was like, maybe I'll get an MBA or some master's or something. Because I always thought I was going to move back to Oklahoma and just live there when I got out. And so the ROTC unit opened up, got my MBA, taught college for 2 years, and then ended up getting
college for 2 years too?
Yeah, because at ROTC, you're teaching the kids like seamanship, navigation,
Gotcha.
leadership. You're like the battalion company officer kind of thing. So you're just helping the midshipmen that are all in college. And so, but they have to take so many naval classes, and they're not offered at Oklahoma. So like the faculty like us are responsible for teaching them all their required training for joining the fleet.
Gotcha.
And then finished my MBA, got divorced, and then they were trying to hot fill me to the Team 4 in Kuwait as the operations officer. But I was just having my second kid, and the detailer was like, well, you can take this 18-month IA, because that's when IAs were huge, because everybody was, still doing a lot of the Iraq and Afghanistan stuff. So a lot of everybody else like us were going to supplement. So they're like, yeah, we'll just send you to Team 4 for 18 months. And I was like, I really don't want to do that. And the detailer was like, well, you can get out. And I was like, okay.
Guess I'm out.
He was like, what? No, you can't. I was like, you actually put it in an email, which means it was an official offer, and I accept your offer.
Yeah.
And they called me multiple times. They're like, you should change your mind. Like, because I was one of their nuclear engineers too.
Yeah.
So could have kept going on that track of the program and all the other stuff that, they spent way too much money on me for. And didn't do it. So my parents got divorced when I was 5. My dad's lived in and around Spring Hill, Franklin since 92.
Okay.
And so
you have a tie to here.
I was getting divorced, and so I was trying to move to Charleston, but my ex-mother-in-law was not like really a fan of that. And so we didn't know if they were going to stay in Charleston, go to Pittsburgh. I was looking for jobs. It was just getting really weird. And I'm talking to my dad, who owned a dental clinic down in Spring Hill.
He's a dentist?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, why don't you just come here? You've always wanted to do financial planning. Like, meet my financial planner. That guy's like hopping me up about all the things he's going to teach me how to do. And he's like, here's all the stuff you'll do. And then my dad's like, 14, 15,000 patients. So he's like, we can get your whole career going. We got a whole patient base right here. We'll introduce you to everybody. And so I bought into the whole Kool-Aid and then moved to Nashville knowing literally 2 people.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I think you and I met the first time in Nashville at like a chamber event or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember the first one
like
we met
in
at, but that's
2010.
back when we were living our dream.
Yeah.
Playing chamber guys.
Yeah, back in we had a chamber event last night, which made me think about it, but I think it was 2010, 2011.
Oh, yeah, it'd have been like 11, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I moved here in August of 11.
Okay. I think it was right after you moved here then probably.
I was brand new.
Yeah.
But I laugh because then I moved here. And so I'm like, all right, Dad, who are you going to introduce me to? He's like, oh, that's HIPAA. I can't introduce you. I was like,
yeah.
So like,
but Dad,
that's
sold
literally
me
what
on
I was
it.
going to say though. Yeah, I was like, so I sold a bill of goods.
that's awesome.
Because I was going to go work at a nuclear power plant in Summerville, South Carolina.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like that.
Nuclear engineering to financial planning, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
yeah,
it.
but
easy.
I mean, especially here. I mean, there's some TVA nuke stuff still active in Tennessee. So it's I kind of assumed that's how you ended up here. Being around Saudi Daisy or something.
I did have an offer.
Yeah.
TVA, Florence, Alabama had an opening for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I
Assuming you're happy with the route you chose, financial planning.
well,
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
So May 28, 2024 was been my 20 year in the Navy. So I got all my classmates that are in that. I'm retiring. Boom. As soon as I hit 20, all of them having their retirement parties. All of them just had command of warships, or all of them just had command of battalions, or all of them just had command. And like, I never had a command ever because I was like getting ready to head to department head school.
Yeah.
If I would have gone to Team 4 and did that for 18 months, then I would have gone to department head school and all this other stuff. And I just kind of pulled chocks and left right when I was getting into those. And so I love the fact that like when I'm watching them, alone and unafraid, driving cruisers around the ocean, just doing everything. And I was like, that would have been really kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I kind of don't really regret it, but like opportunity cost of life.
Been?
I'm like, that would have been really cool. And now they're out and they're making, $4 or $5K a month pension for life with free health care. And I was like, well, that's going to save them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's if they put 20 years in, right?
Yeah. Especially sitting there as a financial planner when you're like,
oh yeah, I'm like opportunity cost.
Free insurance.
How's all this stuff? How's all this stuff kind of stack out? But
there's something about being a business owner like you are and what we're doing, and kind of feeling like you're always chasing, to some aspect, chasing money, and then you see that and you're like, man, just 20 years invested, I had this guaranteed,
and it's guaranteed, and then you can chase money.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think back to like different changes all of us could have made in life.
Oh yeah.
And but no, when we were deploying to Iraq in 2005, and I just had saw my mom, we're pulling out of Thailand and we're about to hit the Andaman Sea. So we're like 255 miles off the coast. It's like 4:30 in the morning, and the AmCross message comes into the ship that, hey, my mom had just passed away. And so now we're too far from coast to really like turn around. Yeah. And it's nighttime, so we'd have to wait for daytime for flight ops, which means we'd be even farther away from the coast. Yeah. And we were mission critical in the Gulf, so I ended up having to steam for like 7 days just to get to the Straits of Hormuz to where we could pull into Yemen so they could like offload me. Yeah. So then I could take a cab from Yemen to the UAE to Dubai to then fly to London to JFK, then to Oklahoma City to get home for the funeral. So I got home 11 days late, and it was kind of rough. Some of the people in Oklahoma City were mad at me, like they had to wait for me to be there, and then other people were so glad I was there. But then we had like some trust issues that came up with like our stepdad, and like the attorneys were like, hey, if you went to probate, this could happen. So why don't we just make some of these changes? Yeah. So like they kind of like manipulate my 19-year-old sister into making changes after my mom passed away. Yeah. So it ended up costing us a third of our estate that it shouldn't have costed us, because it wouldn't have gone to probate because it was in a trust. Yeah. And so, my sister and I lost basically all the cash that we had in our estate, and we were given a bunch of assets, but assets were cash flowing, but they weren't going to cover the tax bill. So then we ended up having to liquidate a golf course that we owned just to cover the tax bill. But it was our highest cash flowing property we had at the exact same time. So it ended up, probably costing her and I both 10, 12K a month of revenue that we both would have got forever if we could have kept that one asset, but we couldn't because all the cash left. Yeah. And so as I'm sitting here like debating being divorced, do I want to keep doing nuclear, like go do nuclear engineering as a civilian? Do I stay in the Navy and go, to this IA? And I realized I didn't love the nuke stuff. Like I liked it. Yeah. It was enjoyable, but it was just an introvert's dream. You got a clipboard, you write down dials for 15 minutes, and you wait, and then you write them down again. You're like, oh, no trend changes. This is great. Yeah. All right, that reactor's doing its job. And for 8 hours, you kind of do that, and then you hang out, and you're like, if nothing goes wrong, this is a great day. Yes. And, which is great. You literally want that thing never to move for your whole shift, and it's a great day. Yeah. But that was so boring to me. Yeah. And I found out I was a lot more extroverted than I realized. And once I was in the nuclear side, I realized I'm not introverted.
There was no outlet. And so,
when they're offering you $135,000 a year, which is double what I was making in the Navy, and then they're like, and after you've been here 20 years, you could be at 170. I'm like, that is not a lot of like upside potential to just keep a staff job. So now I'm like weighing like, if I go do financial advising, planning, I could literally go help families not go through what my sister and I went through to make sure my mom's legacy kind of lives on as, back to the whole Lighthouse thing. Like the greatest failures that we had was from lack of financial understanding on how these things worked.
For sure.
Whereas if my sister, who was only 19, and me, who was 23, just turned 23, like 4 days after my birthday, and knew, hey, the trusts actually do this, this, and this, and you actually don't have to do that, that, and that, and here's all this other stuff.
You would have been fine.
We wouldn't have made a couple of the decisions we made in the heat of the moment in those 10 days that, altered the course of where our future was supposed to be set by what my mom was trying to.
That's when it's hard for people to make decisions too, Chris, is like there's, grief and all these other emotions on top of having to make a decision. I think that hits people a lot of times, and if they're not prepared, then they make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's so hard too because we have 30 to 35 things going on at any given time. Mm-hmm. All of us do. I mean, we're sitting here in a podcast, hanging out, having a great time. But at the exact same time, I'm like, all right, when do I got to pick up my kid? And did I get snacks for his soccer party tomorrow? And am I supposed to check into the office because I just landed? And like, you know, it's just human nature. Our subconscious is always running.
For sure.
And so analysis paralysis just gets everybody.
Yeah.
And then if you're not comfortable with the decision you're looking at making, you are way more likely to shut down, because it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, that whole transactional side of just like, I need you to be an order taker because I finally made a decision and I want to pinpoint this one thing because that's all I know and I can't get outside that box because now I don't have a clue what I'm talking about again and I'm scared.
Yeah.
And so the relational side of all of our businesses is truly where we can help break down that analysis paralysis by saying, well, here's a path and a journey.
Yeah.
Where do you see this going? And get rid of all the finish lines that people keep putting in place. Start developing milestones so they can constantly keep updating the next milestone. One more lap around the track. Hey, do we get more efficient, or is this our slow pace lap? You know, we just kind of cruise this one so we catch our breath and get caught up on everything. Yeah. But it allows that, like, okay, this makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so when I was like debating all the things, I was like, that's the kind of like leadership pieces from the Navy I wanted to bring into the civilian world. You know, being able to kind of like coach and mentor people and say, hey, all of you have different backgrounds and different things you want to do, but we still pulled a division together. We still pulled, you know, a whole department together, go achieve multiple goals and objectives. I mean, we built an aircraft carrier in almost record time solely because Bush Jr. wanted to be the president that commissioned it for Bush Sr. And we did. We commissioned this thing like 2 weeks or so before Obama was sworn in as president. And it was a massive undertaking to get it done, you know, faster than we thought we were going to be able to get it done so they could achieve it. But when you start getting everybody on the, you know, the same pace of where you're going,
rope, same direction.
There you go. It works so much better. So that's kind of when the whole shift to like the financial advising first came in. And so I jumped on that.
When were you 100% sold on being a financial advisor? How many years in? What happened?
Probably 12 to 18 months into it.
Okay.
I finally was like...
Was that because you finally started getting some relationships knocked down, started making good money? What clicked for you?
So when I first started, I was a glorified life insurance agent because I didn't have any securities licenses. Mm-hmm. And so that's all I did was like, hey, life and disability, and here's why this is so important.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you need a retirement account, but I can't talk to you about a retirement account because I'm not even licensed to explain a retirement account to you. And so then I was like, man, I really need to get these licenses. 6-9 months in, I can start charging because I was licensed. Yeah. And the first client that I charged a fee to, I was like, this is so much better. Yeah. I don't have to tell you anything. Like, you paid me a fee because you wanted my advice, and here's all the things we can do. And the irony about that is the first client I met was actually at a Williamson County Chamber happy hour event, and she was looking for a job because they just moved here from Texas because he was an ER doctor that just took a position at Williamson Medical. And so she was networking, and we're just talking. She's like, oh yeah, I got to roll over 401k, and you know, he just started and we don't actually know, and like, we're just looking for a planner. You know, do you know anyone? And I was like, I actually do that. And so we're just literally talking, having some drinks. And she's like, yeah, no, I really like you. This is great. What's the fee? I was like,
I don't know what my fee is.
Know. Literally, that's what it was.
It's like, I don't know.
I was like, no one's ever asked me that question. $7? I mean,
what should it be?
And I was like, what do you normally want to pay?
I mean, what's fair?
But I laugh because I've had a lot of clients come and go over the years. Because a lot of them graduate from planning. Yeah. Not so much that they shouldn't still be doing it, but so many come in because they got needs they want to fulfill. Yeah. That they didn't really want to do it. They just knew they needed it because they didn't know how to answer things. So once you kind of get them on autopilot, they didn't have the want in the first place. And they're like, I could reallocate this money elsewhere. So thank you. But we fixed the holes. We made them more efficient. We got them on autopilot. They literally did graduate from planning. Yeah. And it's like a success story not a failure because they left. It's like we actually built you to where you can go self-sustain.
Yeah.
But this very first planning client, 13 years later, is still with me.
No kidding.
Still with me.
It's awesome.
And so I love it. It's kind of like a testament to like you meet the right people and they just want to do it.
Yeah.
They're never going to go anywhere. And so as I'm coaching like financial planners and even the guys on my team, I'm like, hey, you can build 30-year relationships that will turn into 30-year friendships with your clients by just doing the right thing for them all the time.
Yeah.
And you don't have to overbill them and you don't have to constantly sell them something. And you literally can just become that friend, that confidant, and that like Sherpa we talk about all the time. Because like in the financial world, everybody talks about accumulation, but not a lot of people talk about distribution because advisors typically make all their money accumulating assets and managing it. So they want you to accumulate. But as you start spending it, now they make less money. So now they're not as happy.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm constantly coaching the guys. Like the Sherpas don't just take them to the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
They also bring them back down safely too. Yeah. And more people die coming down the mountain than they do on the way up.
Yeah.
And I was like, and so your true value may never really be seen the whole time you're helping them accumulate. But it's really going to turn once they retire. And now you're like, how do we safely spend down your funds without going broke? Because there's no point helping them build all this. Yeah. And then it's all gone 6 years into retirement and you did not do your job.
Yeah.
And so that's like the interesting side of it. And so if you're truly going to Sherpa people, then you have to have a journey. You can't just be like, here's the final. Yeah. Once you have $10 million, you're all set. Best wishes, bro. Yeah. I'll send you a Christmas card and a birthday card and call me if you want to get hibachi. You know,
that's an interesting profession, man, because you bring up a good point. You almost have to, you have to know that you're in it for 10, 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? You got to look at it like that.
I would say at least 10 years, right?
Yeah. I would say 10 would be like the bare minimum. Yeah. Like if you're not willing to put in 10 years, you shouldn't probably join the industry because you have to be transactional at that point. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're just, hey, I'm dialing for dollars and I want, you know, as many accounts as I can, then my whole goal is to get 1,000 accounts and they're producing X number of dollars, and then I'm going to sell them off to someone else. I'm going to take my check. Yeah. Great. You're asset gathering for an exit. You're not actually relationally trying to help people do stuff.
We always talk about that. That stuff kind of works itself out.
It does.
Right? Like you don't have to sell you don't have to sell one client everything. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Like just take care of that person's or that company's needs. Mm-hmm. They're going to tell somebody else that you did that. Like it works to just be there, respond, and help them.
Yeah, Chris has done a great job building his business up by word of mouth. Does a great job on social media, but I know he probably gets a ton of referrals on people that know you on social media. Usually, sure, you have to turn more away than what you take in, right?
Try not to.
Try not to, yeah.
But I mean, we have 5 planners on the team now.
Okay. And so you've been able to hire other planners to take that load.
So they're taking a lot of the smaller ones we're getting.
Yeah. And you're the main out front open social media guy, right?
Yeah, that's me.
And you're gathering in and then kind of handing out.
Yeah,
Chris is the pretty face.
Yeah, you know, I just got my hair cut, so I mean, just
I
finally got lined up, you know, so now I'm ready.
What would you say to a let's say a 23-year-old fresh out of college today that's interested in getting in financial planning and what you're doing? What would be your advice to that person? Don't do this unless you're willing to invest 10 years in it, kind of thing?
No, it's not that. I mean, I would say, you know, I tell every entrepreneur kind of the same thing. There's a capitalization period that you're going to have to be willing to endure getting through. Yeah. Prior to reaping any benefits of what you're doing. Absolutely. That's just how it's always going to be.
That's most sales jobs.
But that's any job. I mean, go start your own company for the first time. Yeah. You know, the bank's not giving you a line of credit one day in because they're like, are you going to be here in 6 months?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so there's this thing I call the suck. And the suck runs for 6 to 9 months. If you come into this business and you got 5,000 people already lined up to talk to you, you might not run into the suck until year 2 or 3. Yeah. Because it took you that long to get through the 5,000 people that knew you. Mm-hmm. But once you have to actually start talking to people outside of your circle, I mean, like I have to actually put my foot out there and try to grow this thing. Now you're going to be in the suck. The benefit for me, I knew 2 people when I came to Nashville.
Yeah.
So I just was in the suck immediately.
Suck was on the front end.
And so I didn't have this whole like, yay. And so every once in a while I'd get a, a bone thrown from me. Like my dad would be like, hey, I actually do need some more life insurance. I guess I'll get it from you.
Yeah.
Not my advisor. Because he had an advisor.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I really appreciate you scooping that up for me.
For their son.
Because,
Yeah.
Thanks for the other 5,000 patients you didn't refer me to.
I made $7,000 in my first 6 months.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And so, this is in 2011. And cost of living in Nashville was nowhere near the cost of living in Nashville today.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I had no backstop pay. There was no like, hey, here's $3K a month while you're getting going. Like none of that stuff.
I wish I'd have bought 10 houses in 2011 in Nashville.
You know what's funny is when I moved here, this realtor was like, hey, you should buy this 3-acre lot over here in East Nashville.
Yeah.
It's a 3-2 with a carport, but there's so much that's going to come over here soon.
You're like, yeah, right.
And I was like, bro, no.
There's nothing going to be there.
I'm going to go down to Franklin.
Yeah.
And then I look at that I think it was probably $2-3 million later when they got all the tall skinnies on it. I'm like, well,
okay, I'm an idiot.
this is why I don't do real estate.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's also my first week I moved to Nashville. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why would I go over here? It doesn't
Yes.
make any sense.
Yeah.
And my dad lived in Franklin, so I went down.
And in 2011, it wasn't the greatest place.
No.
Be.
Yeah, the show Nashville hadn't even started yet, right?
We weren't even the It City yet.
Yeah, we weren't the It City yet.
It City didn't
But
show up till like
I missed
2014.
2010, 2011 Nashville.
I missed 1999 Nashville.
Yeah.
That's the
Back when
Nashville.
you could still drive down Broadway?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Lonnie's was still hopping in
There you
Printer's
go.
Alley. Yeah. That was Nashville.
Most of that's kind of drifted.
It's gone.
What's the Chris? What is the craziest or wildest thing you have done for a customer to win them over,
To win them over?
or
to keep
to
them.
keep them?
Oh, I don't even know.
He's like,
I know you mentioned like flying down to Florida to help a client last
wasn't
minute.
I don't do that to keep him. He's never going to
Yeah.
go. I say he'll never go anywhere. He might. I mean,
But you create a relationship, and part of that is
You fly down to help a client like that to find something. You're
Yeah.
probably a lifer, right? They're probably going to stick with you.
that's the goal. This guy they're referencing, I met in Dallas at a mastermind event a couple years ago. He had a lot of money with advisors, but they never like really did anything. It was very transactional. He's like, I don't understand the relationship side you're talking about. We're talking planning and all the things we got to do. He just had a daughter, and he's like, I'll give it a shot. And so, we're starting his 3rd year of planning in like 3 weeks. And he's a big hockey fan down in South Florida. I'm also a big hockey fan here in Nashville. So he'll come up for the Panthers games.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
usually go down for the Preds games when they play the Panthers. And so it just kind of worked out. He had lost his crypto wallet. And he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, help me. I was like, I don't do crypto, but I understand the wallets. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We can find this. It's not that hard, and it's not his wheelhouse. And so he's like, dude, the Preds are coming to town. If you could fly down, help me with my wallet. We'll go out to dinner. We'll go hit a hockey game. We'll hang out for a day or two. And so we did. I mean, I got clients in Utah one time. They were getting all their trust stuff done. And he was like, hey, I really need you to fly out and meet all my children. He's got 5 kids, multiple grandkids. And he's like, they're good with money, but they're not great with money. And like, I'm trying really hard to help them understand the stewardship that they're going to have to take for the massive amount of wealth that he's going to be transferring to them. And so he was like, I really just want you to come in for a meet and greet.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And so we played pickleball on it for 6 months on like finding a date that worked for them and the attorney and everything else. And so I actually flew to Dallas to speak at an event, and then I was going to stay at the event all day. And then I left from Dallas and went to Utah, saw them that night instead, ended up hanging out, met all of his kids, did all the other stuff. And then the next morning, literally flew back to Nashville.
That's awesome.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that for, clients all over the country now. So pre-COVID, I didn't do a lot of Zoom. I didn't do a lot of the Skyping, like every once in a while, but no one knew how to use it.
Yeah.
So most of everything we did was in person. So I'd like block clients together and be like, hey, I'm coming to, Charleston for a week. I'll see all 7 of you, or hey, I'm coming down to Orlando. I'm going to see all y'all for the 5 days I'm down there. And so that was kind of how I was traveling. COVID hit. Everybody learned how to Zoom overnight. And so we went from 8, 9 states to now we're 44 states, DC and Puerto Rico, because 99% of my clients want to Zoom.
That's awesome.
I mean, I laugh, like we're up here in Hendersonville and I called a client who I haven't seen in person in probably 2 years, who was probably 8 minutes away from here. And I was like, hey, you want to hang out for lunch or something? Like, I'm not driving to Brentwood. I was like, I'm actually up here today.
Yeah.
And they were like laughing. They're like, oh, hit me up when you're done. Yeah, you let me know. Come by the ranch,
Yeah.
But we laugh because like I see them at like hockey games, but I don't ever see them. Like they don't drive to Brentwood to my office. Every meeting we take is via Zoom because it saves them 90 minutes round tripping on driving and stuff.
Or more.
Oh, yeah, at least.
And living in Brentwood, there's no reason to come up to Hendersonville.
Yeah. Just like
unless you're meeting with a customer.
Just like if you live here, there's no reason to go to Brentwood.
No, unless you're meeting with a customer.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason.
So you must, as a financial planner and developing these great relationships, you probably hear of some crazy things from your customers, clients. Is there anything off limits that maybe you shouldn't say to your financial planner when you're going over strategies and stuff?
Probably.
What would you advise to stay away from? I mean,
everything that you're not licensed to talk about, like you should not do. So we have 2 types of people in our firm, right? So we have customers. Those are all of our transactional people that don't actually pay us for planning, right? So they may have been planning clients and then we graduated them, but we're still running their investment accounts or their insurance or stuff like that. So they're in our customer pool. And then all of our planning clients are like in the client base. So that's kind of where we try to prioritize, the business and stuff.
It's more of an active account.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny because the customers don't really ask us that much outside of the realm of their insurance or investments anymore because they're not on the scope of planning. Mm-hmm. The clients, on the other hand, are like, well, I paid you for the year for advice. And so I need to know exactly how this works. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm not a tax attorney. Yeah. I'm not an estate planning attorney. Like, let's make the introduction to this person. Yeah. Let's go get you connected with that person.
They think you do everything.
And they
tax advice, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And so it's hard because I've stayed at a Holiday Inn Express more times than I care to think about. Yeah. But I can't sit here and be like, well, based on how the taxes read in the IRS code are, you should do this, and this. But like in our business, that's a huge faux pas. So like I remind clients all the time, we provide neither tax nor legal advice, and I don't want to provide you tax nor legal advice. And we don't even have that inside of our firm. Like conflict of interest is like a big thing that I try to stay away from. Mm-hmm. And so even if we have a client that's interested in moving an account, $100,000 over, I'll connect them with another person on my team as like a third party to be like, hey, we'll get you to run the analysis to see if you would move this account over. And if you wouldn't move it over, then we're going to leave it there. That way, me on the planning side, I'm not like, hey, and send all your money to us too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it helps keep that cleaner. And I got in trouble once, got written up for real estate because I had a client that just sold a bunch of stuff and we were talking and he's like, I really want to get into hard money lending. I got all these people doing hard money lending. Like, hey, how's this work? Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of like, well, it's kind of like this and this, but you really need to meet these people that do that because we don't do that, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm like introducing them to people and like the real estate investment clubs in Nashville and like stuff like that. And then I saw somebody post on Facebook. They're like, hey, anybody wanting to do hard money lending? We're trying to float this mortgage. And so I was like, hey, here's you one. Go talk to them, you know, because I just saw it, you know. Yeah. And it seemed like a good idea. You know, I'm like, hey, I'm arm's length. I'm not saying do it, don't do it. Like, do whatever you want.
Here's an option.
And so he ends up connecting with this person. They're going to do like a 12-month promissory note to like help him out. And then they're going to refi. Ends up going for 3.5 years, like long beyond where we're even like, hey, you really need to get out of this. You know, now we're telling them, hey, you really need to get out of this. Well, then the person ends up losing their job, stop making payment. They end up having to foreclose. Like the whole thing goes sideways. And then all the way back to 3.5 years earlier, they're like, well, you made the recommendation because you made the introduction. And like, I did actually get in trouble for it because they're like, well, yeah, you're on the hook forever. And like, I never really realized that in my business. Like, hey, just because we made the introduction, you're like fiduciarily still like obligated forever.
Yeah.
And so they're like, and if you're not licensed to do it, you shouldn't be making those introductions. And like, you should have introduced them to 4 or 5 other people. So they had multiple options, not just one. And so I took the slap on the hand for that one. I was like, yep, this is 100% my fault. I didn't think that through. And so now when clients are like, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm like, hey, here's some great resources out here.
Yeah.
Here's ones you should go check out.
Here's
Good
Google.
luck on that. Don't ask me.
Yeah. Here's Google.
I don't want to be a part of it. There's tons of Facebook and Instagram pages and all these other things. But again, like it's kind of like what we talked about in the beginning. Like I made a blunder, which some people would call a failure. But when you do the after action report on it, there's great lessons in it on why it's important to be that fiduciary for the clients and not be like just recommending anything to recommend anything because they want to go do it.
Yeah.
And now I have even better relationships with other sources of people that do all those different things. So if people are like, hey, what do you know? I was like, I don't. Here's like 4 or 5 people. You should go talk to them. And if you like what they got to say, let us know. I'll tell you if it's going to positively impact your cash flow or negatively impact your cash flow, but I'm not making a decision left, right, or sideways.
Yeah.
You just decide what you want to do. And if it fits in your plan, great. If it doesn't fit in your plan, then maybe you don't do it.
Yeah.
You guys decide. And so now it's actually been a great lesson learned because now when I have all my new planners coming up, I'm like, let me tell you how I screwed up once. And I want to prevent you from screwing up like I did.
Yeah. This is how you don't make this mistake.
We all learn from our mistakes for sure.
Yeah.
But now, since you have employees, if they make that mistake, it's still on you as the business owner.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah. But you had to make money to live and create a living for yourself. So there was that I have to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I had a trickle of income, literally a trickle coming in from my mom's trust.
Yeah.
Because like I said, we sold the golf course, which would have probably made us 10, 12K a month each. And the real estate we did have left was making us like $2,500 a month. So that was like kind of how I sustained once I came off my Navy pay.
Yeah.
But like when you're on terminal, like my terminal pay ran for 45, 60 days.
So you had a little nest.
So even though I started in Nashville in August, my pay with the Navy didn't end until September 30th. So my first like kind of month and a half here, I was still getting paycheck because I was on terminal leave. And then the physical year starts on October 1st, and I had like 20 days of leave left. So instead of keeping me on the books for 20 days, they just paid me out all 20 days. So then I kind of got like one more paycheck by them paying me out. And that's kind of how I sustained my first 6 to 9 months. Because I laugh, like I was saying earlier, you know, I made $7K in my first 6 months. Yeah. But I made $80K in my next 6 after that. And so people look at my first year in the business, like kind of around the industry and company. They're like, oh, you were wildly successful and you made almost 90K in your first year and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, it's actually amazing. Like when you go back and look at it now. Yeah. But they don't look at the first 6 months and it being 7K.
Yeah. Starving.
And I'm like, if I didn't have any like little bit of backup, like you would have starved out before I even got started, you know? And so that's the hard part about these commission only jobs is like, you got to have some cash reserve and some backup or someone else helping pay your bills until you kind of get up on your feet and running.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, I'm curious to know Chris's take on crypto versus the dollar.
That's not real money.
Is it?
I don't know. That's what.
Well, you were talking about the story of the crypto earlier with your customer. Or as a financial advisor, do you? I know you get into the talks of stocks and IRAs, 401ks, all that. Yeah. Does the regulations and everything that you have to go by keep you from talking about crypto, or you? Is that a?
We're going to find out.
It's got to come up, right?
Well, so a lot of these spot ETFs have started getting approved. So Bitcoin and Ethereum have spot ETFs that are approved. So now they're a regulated security on the ETF side. Yeah. So we can actually talk through it kind of like as a commodity.
Yeah. Okay.
But to me, it's no one thing you'll ever do is the be all end all to anything.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? You can own 5,000 doors in real estate. You should still have life insurance.
Yeah.
Right.
You can own $20 million a whole life because you got all this money coming in.
Yeah.
You should probably still have a bank account.
Yeah.
You know, like there's all these people that kind of live in this like non-granular world of all or nothing. And it's all insurance, or it's all real estate, or it's all crypto, or it's all the stock market, options, bonds, gold, silver, ammo, pick a topic, right?
That's a good point.
And I don't feel
DraftKings does
really, you know, my guy hit a $9,000 parlay last night.
I love it.
At the Preds game that we lost, but the Panthers won.
And he really won.
And he was like, bro, I bet $500 I made a 9K parlay. And I was like, yeah, man.
Yeah, he
but
won.
that's there you go.
He won.
To him, that's his fun in investing, right?
Yeah,
To me, I'm like, this is scary, and I would never bet a parlay because I'll hit 6 out of 7 every time. Like, I'm out.
I'm really good at 6 out of 7.
See, I'm great at that.
Like
It's that 7th one every time. It's like, oh.
And it's the one that should hit.
Yeah, it's the guaranteed one.
It's the guaranteed one.
Garrett Henry would keep his pants on all game. Of course he would.
Yeah.
Nope.
You could probably bet on that now, right?
You probably could.
There's prop bets on that.
You would most likely have to go to like Vegas to get the prop bet. But on the traditional, like on the sports betting apps, there's not like crazy props like that.
Gotcha.
Not as fun.
So to your point, Chris, if your investment strategy or your advice would be fine if you want to invest in crypto, but make sure you diversify across these other paths.
My kind of approach is, you know, multiple bucket strategies. So I call my Vegas bucket. It's just the absolute blow money. If you seriously just want to go put it on red because you're like, that's what I'm doing today, bro, and you can't tell me what I'm doing. I tell people, you got to cap that 10 to 15% of what you're doing. Because, I mean, I know people that are professional poker players.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't rely on all your money to be grinding out Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing great, but we need to peel off portions of these profits to go invest in other stuff to start generating passive income so you don't have to play Hold'em to your 90 because you want to get the free buffet.
Yeah.
And so it's the exact same logic. I don't feel like as a financial planner, I should dictate every single dollar that a client wants to spend.
It's a great way to look at it.
I think we should be able to guide them through the different ideas on why this is a good idea or a bad idea, help them come up with an informed consent, and then they go make the decision they want to do. And then you can just say, here's how it's going to positively impact you. Here's how it can negatively impact you. Now that you know the risk and how all these things work, if you still want to go do it, power to you. They're not beholden to me to do everything I say.
Yeah.
And so that's where I found this like 10 to 15% wiggle room buffer. I have a great friend of mine. I mean, he's been a client for 8 years. He has fallen in love with day trading and, you know, chart analysis and just tracking everything and playing the options game. And I mean, he's absolutely killing it. I'm not helping him with that whatsoever. I was like, bro,
that's in his 10% bucket.
I do not have time. But he put 50K over there. He said, if I lose it all, I lose it all. Well, he's doubled it. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
As it keeps going, we need to pull from these profits and then start spreading them out over your other buckets.
Let's pull your 50 back in and start over.
So, but I mean, that's literally kind of how it is because this gives him freedom. You know, if he wants to go buy Tesla, Nvidia, or whatever the hot company is of the day, you know, when people come back and look at this podcast in 8 years and they're like, oh, whatever new hot thing of the day. Like if they want to go buy it and you're buying it in your Charles Schwab account or whatever, and you're like, hey, this is my fun play account. Perfect. That gives you some freedom to go do those things while also knowing like I have an overall plan that's running and I'm kind of staying in the bounds of it, but I'm hoping that maybe I get that home run. And I'm over here saying, cool, I'm just laying down base hits and I'm not doing anything crazy because I just want to create stability in your life and your portfolio. You're making 60 to 80% ROI in your company right now. Like reinvesting in that sounds like a way better idea than just putting everything you have into some mutual fund, right? And so it's even balancing the clients to be like, hey, if your ROI is over here, invest in that team, invest in that software, invest in the right kind of professionals to hire to help you grow your company faster. Because at the end of the day, if we're pulling 20% off, for example, it doesn't have to be that, but pull 20% off to diversify out of your company. Well, if we 5X your company in 3 years because you just came up with this genius idea and exploded, that 20% you're pulling off is way more than if I was taking 80% 3 years ago and you didn't have the cash in the war chest to be defensive and offensive at the same time. And so I think too many people focus on what are we going to do this quarter, and by being able to scope out much more long-term, you have a lot more options. So that's where, to your point on the crypto, gold is a storage of value. Silver, storage of value. Just things like that. Like there's semi-liquid, there's a secondary market for it. They're not cash, but if you're worried about hedging against inflation and you're happy buying it, then great.
Then buy it.
And so to me, like the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solanos, like all of those out there are kind of going to be that hedge against inflation on an international scale, because you're not trading foreign currencies. You're not saying, hey, I want to buy the British pound and see how it does against the euro, how it does against the dollar, because then you're not betting on any of the currencies that really fluctuate, but you're hoping, well, if this hits mass adoption, then maybe it could explode. Well, cool. If you want a portion of that, go for it. But when people start day trading their crypto accounts, like I've seen them do, it's like, well, you just literally generated $200,000 in fees for $200,000 of gains, and at the end of the day, you broke even, bro. They're like, but it was a lot of fun. I'm like, well, as long as you had fun.
As long as you had fun.
That's the whole reason it goes in the Vegas bucket.
As long as you had fun.
It's like playing blackjack for 6 hours, you know?
Exactly.
You might have lost the $500, $5,000 you sat down with. Who cares? But did you have fun? And you know it's not your life savings, you know? So
that's a good way to look at it.
We just had an election, right? That finished. What's that look for, Jason?
Nothing. I have told, fair warning, I've told Jason that I will not talk politics on this show. We're going to.
Well, it's a fact that the election just finished.
Yes.
It's right. And Donald J. Trump is
the
47th president.
President-elect.
President-elect.
Yes.
So my question would be to Chris, does politics influence financial advice or financial planning? Is that a factor that goes into?
Or how does it affect
Or how does it affect it?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard if you look at presidential mandates and all the things that happen. I can't predict what the IRS is going to do in 2025.
Right.
And we're 7 weeks away from 2025. Yeah. They're just now putting guidance out on like, here's how much you could contribute to your 401k and Roth next year.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to allow for these, and these. They haven't edited codes yet. They don't know what they're doing. And so I think people look at the president as the be all end all of like, oh, because Trump won, it's going to be a booming market. Yeah, maybe. But it may also be a booming market because the administration that comes in with it is going to change a lot of different things they're doing, or maybe more inclined to push tax cuts over the next 4 years. So people are like preemptively expecting that. But there's no crystal ball with money. Like, and I think that's the problem most people miss, is like our job is to help lead our clients down that path. And so even if Kamala won, you know, the money, it's not like we're gonna be like, well, the market's gonna crash, pull everything out. Like you can't, you know,
your job doesn't
You can't
change.
say one is gonna be better than the other, where you can say, well, based on my beliefs, I think this is better. But there's a ton of people that would have loved VP Harris, and they think that would have been the best thing for the country.
Right.
And so just like how you don't talk politics on your podcast, it's really hard in our profession to be like, well, are you Republican or Democrat? Because that's going to dictate my answer. So it doesn't need to dictate the answer, because there's a lot of things that people are doing across the different buckets. You know, because like Chris Rogers on our team, he does a lot of our investment strategy. He talks about the 6 sectors. And he says all the time, he's like, you can't put 4 people on first base. You know, you got 9 guys in the field. And if you overload 4 people on first base, but no one's on third, great. Like they can just lay down bunts on you all day long, and no one's ever going to stop it. You know? So you want to be across all the different sectors. So yeah, maybe the equity market takes a dip, but now you have a great buying opportunity, for future gains and growth. The equity market may shoot up. Great. You have a great buying opportunity or selling opportunity to take some gains and then re-diversify into some other things you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And so by focusing on the long-term vision our clients have, I think we can be much more empathetic to their unique situation and building realistic expectations for them, and then just proactively communicating those with them, irregardless of who's in office and who's doing what. Because that's be like saying, hey, because Trump won, everybody should buy Bitcoin because it's going to moon. Like, nobody knows that.
Nobody knows.
That'd be a bad thing to say as like advice.
Well, Trump is pro Bitcoin though, right?
Yeah.
And it went up 5-10% the night he was elected, I think.
And it came right back down.
Came right back down.
6% the very next day.
Yeah.
And then it started going up again, know? I mean, I think they said it shot up to like 75, and then it went back to 66.
Yeah.
Like within a day. And then it went to like 77, hit all-time high, and then it's come down again.
Well, sell the news, right, is what happened in that scenario.
But you just got to look at it. I mean, people are competing against algorithms.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the algorithms are just running, the resistance versus the supports and where's the breakout line. And someone somewhere built an algorithm that said, hey, if it's X percentage above this thing,
jump,
sell. And then when it's below the resistance, buy. And so now you got algorithms all over the world that are literally fighting each other. So you'll see massive volume come in and everything just and it's just jittery because it's literally computer AI is fighting itself more than human intuition is finding inefficiencies in the market. Like the inefficiencies that were there in the 60s, 70s, and 80s before everything was at our fingerprints doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
And so now it's much more like, do you understand what you're buying? Do you support what you're buying? Is it beneficial to you, your family, and your future? Then let's look at adding it to what you're doing. But if it's not, we don't need to do it just because someone said it's the hot thing that's going to be out there because someone lands. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Those, unfortunately, in my world I've seen are the people that end up losing, massive chunks of money because they're chasing wealth. And, my buddy Taylor talks about it all the time, like rich is not wealthy. And everybody has like a get rich quick idea.
Yeah.
But that doesn't generate lasting wealth if we don't find ways to cement those foundational pieces together. And so I think that's more in the line of where our game is now as planners is doesn't matter the administration. No one in the government is coming to save you, ever.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. And so the smaller the government, the more the choice comes down to the states or the local communities or things like that, the better off people may be, but it just is going to depend. There's certain things that you need the federal government for, and there's certain things you wish the federal government was not involved in.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be that way for every side of the coin, even the edge right down the middle for the person that balances between heads and tails. There's always going to be a reason to kind of hold that line.
Good answer. Yeah. I've always been of the mindset it doesn't matter who's in office. I'm still going to do me.
The sun's still
do what I
coming
need
up.
to do. Right? So that's been my mentality.
Good Lord willing, the sun still comes up.
And the creek don't rise.
I mean,
absolutely. Well, Chris, it's been great having you on. Every episode we do a rapid fire session.
Maybe we should rename it like Rapidish.
Rapidish.
Yeah, Rapidish fire.
Rapidish.
Depends on how you answer them is how fast we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we'd like to ask you just a few questions. Answer as quickly as you would like.
7.
Honestly as you would like, right?
Where were you on the...
Who are you between 10 and 4 a.m.?
Yeah.
So we'll just ask you a few questions, get to know you a little bit, right, as a guest. So you want to start us off, Chad?
Beach or mountains?
Beach. Especially if it's all inclusive.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Steakhouse or seafood place?
Steakhouse all day long. Unless it's Perry's pork chop, tableside carved, probably preem. But being in Nashville, urban grub, because you get steak and seafood. Great bourbon selection.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good one.
What cut and how you getting it ordered?
For which one?
Steak.
Man, I've been in the porterhouse lately.
Yeah.
Because you get that filet with it, mid-rare, Pittsburgh style, so you get the nice charring on it. And then I usually share the sirloin side with my kids because they also like mid-rare. And they're 7 and 8, and they eat steak, and I'm like,
yes. You're doing something right.
And I find it's actually cheaper to just order that and then feed the two boys off of it and let them get some mac and cheese as a side.
That's right.
And it is me to try to order them separate steaks and then.
Yeah, I dig it. The brunch at Urban Grub is
phenomenal.
Yeah. If anybody's listening,
unlimited oysters.
Yeah.
And then the bottomless mimosas, I think, for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Shout out to Urban Grub. They're a customer of ours.
Yeah.
So
If
go to
Urban Grub.
Yeah. That brunch is probably the best one in Nashville.
No, I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
Every time people come to town, they're like, "Where's?" I was like, "It's out of town.
Yes.
It's just down 12 South. It's been around for forever. It's a hidden gem. Great bourbon, great wine selection. In-house bakery, in-house butcher." I'm like, why would you not want that kind of experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So,
Predators or Sooners?
Predators.
He was already going to say it.
So quick.
Sooners are on my shit list right now. Like, they came to the SEC and have completely disappointed me with their lack of offense, even though the Preds right now are disappointing me in their lack of offense. But they're my local team, and I can go see them all the time, and I don't watch TV really anymore. And so the Sooners are kind of drifting away from, like, that's my alma mater, just like Navy is.
Yeah.
But since I don't really watch TV and the Preds I do live, like, I'm going to take Preds.
SEC or Big 12?
SEC.
That's a joke.
SEC?
That's a joke.
Well, we're in the SEC.
Yeah, he's got to pick the. Yeah, I think there's some Oklahoma fans wanting to go back to the Big 12.
No, it has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's
No,
a
I
complete
think you're right.
disappointment because we hired a coach that knows how to play defense, but they didn't hire an offensive coordinator to play strong offense. And then we gave up Dylan Gabriel. We sent him to Oregon. Oregon's doing what? Oh, yeah, they're using our senior quarterback, who probably is in the running for the Heisman, who still should have been in Oklahoma, but because we took this number 3 prospect in the top 200 as a freshman quarterback who can't perform under pressure, and then we had to bounce back and forth between quarterbacks when we had a perfectly great quarterback, and they were like, we're going to run this red shirt freshman out here. And I'm like, why?
Experience is invaluable.
That's a great answer.
Experience is invaluable, especially at that position.
So I just want to say it was not the entrance to the SEC that I had hoped for.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma brought it on themselves because they should have kept their senior quarterback that they had.
There you go.
And they would have came in with some real leadership. But instead, Oregon looks amazing, and I'm proud for them for that. And I don't care about what's happening at USC because that guy, Lincoln Riley, he can just, if you're going to do something, finish the job at hand and then leave.
There's a lot of Tennessee folks that have the same relationship with Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. You mentioned bourbon.
Mm-hmm. Antique 107 is my favorite.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
Favorite cocktail?
Oh. Well, probably.
He's got a big list.
Got to pick one.
Tito's sugar-free Red Bull with a lime.
Okay.
It's probably like if I'm going out on Broadway,
Yeah.
that's typically what I'm getting. This is why people tell me I have too much caffeine in my life.
Yeah.
Because as I just drank that whole thing today, I'm old now. So like I need a little pick-me-up. And so if
You don't need those people in your life.
I love those people in my life. Otherwise, it's mainly, if I'm cocktailing, it's mainly vodka. Is where I kind of stick to. I'm not really a big tequila fan, and I prefer my bourbon neat or on a big rock.
Okay.
And so I'm not big into like the old fashions or the Manhattans or anything really syrupy. If I can avoid that. So.
Gotcha.
You're going on a road trip, traditional road trip, right? We're going to drive back toward Norman, Oklahoma.
Sure.
And you stop in the truck stop or gas station.
At Buc-ee's.
Sure.
Okay.
You getting snacks?
Beef jerky.
What's coming out with you?
Beef jerky.
Okay.
Especially if we just went to Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Jerky's coming out.
Although that brisket sandwich.
Oh, it's good.
Man, that brisket sandwich. And I always tend to find myself lately buying a 44-ounce Coke Zero.
Yeah.
But Buc-ee's, Lord love them. They have Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar, which is like delicious.
Hey, Circle K does too.
Dr.
Circle K's are
Pepper is
popping
the
up.
nectar of the gods, but as a diabetic, I'm not supposed to drink sugar whenever I can avoid it.
Yeah.
And so whenever I see Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar, I'm like,
Sign me up.
and so first time I went to Buc-ee's, I was like, what's the biggest cup I can get? I didn't even put ice in it. I was like, oh, no.
Taking this back
I
home.
want all 44 ounces.
Yeah.
And then I got the brisket sandwich, and I literally, I'm not joking, my 8-year-old loves beef jerky.
Yeah.
And so he loves going to Buc-ee's because he's like, Dad, can we get, this is before I realized it was like $35, $40 a pound.
Yeah, it's
or whatever.
$1,000.
I let the kid get 5 pounds of beef jerky. I was not in the frame of mind to be like, well, how much is it? Because I'm thinking like
get it, kid.
old trapper kind of stuff. Oh, we're at a gas station. It's what, maybe $18 a pound or something?
Yeah,
get it, what kid. You want. We're checking out. I'm like, where did we spend $220? And the lady's like, sir, you got $168 of beef jerky.
It's like, yes, we do.
I was like, we're not going to let this go to waste.
We're going to eat everybody
happening again.
The dog will get none of this.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you get the nuggets, by the way, or no nuggets?
Bucky's Nuggets?
No
nuggets.
They taste like a cereal to me.
Yeah, they're different.
I didn't like them.
They taste like you should put on milk.
With milk?
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I get from Bucky's Nuggets.
Crypto or stocks for you?
No comment. I'm horrible, all right? In 2020, I had too much free time. They closed our office.
Yeah.
I had nothing else to do. My risk profile is drastically different from anyone else. And when people are like, well, what do you invest in? I was like, I'm not ever going to tell you what I invest in. Because I do really great, and then I also crash and burn on a lot.
Yeah.
Don't follow my advice on anything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I also, it's in my Vegas bucket.
It's in your Vegas bucket.
So I don't care. I've built all my whole life policies. I've built my 401ks, and I have my IRAs, and I got all my kids' college funds, and I got stuff for everybody else. And I'm like, this is my fun money.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have a hobby, right?
Everybody's at a different stage in their life, right?
Yeah.
Don't take your advice and run with it.
So technically, to answer your question, I do crypto and I do stocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't literally weigh one more than the other.
Yeah.
Just because this is so new, it's kind of fun. It's got that novelty to it.
Yeah.
But you watch the whole cabal go in there, and they're like, hey, this is a brand new coin. You watch it moon. Everybody's like, it's up 10,000%. And the next day, it's like, why did it lose 99? It's like, because they pulled all the money out and y'all bought into a scam.
Yeah.
And that's why I hate most of crypto, because it's unregulated.
Yeah.
And you're never going to see that in the stock market, which is way safer for people. So if you don't know what you're doing, please don't waste money.
Perfect.
It'd scare me.
Sports car or truck?
Truck. I say that. I mean, I got a Chevy Silverado High Country. Absolutely love it. I have 4 kids. My child has wrote on the side of my truck with a stick before. I was not mad, but I was not excited about it.
Yeah.
But if I had like a Bentley or a Lambo or anything else, I may only have 3 children today. And I know that about me. And I'm like, that's not fair for you, for me to get mad because I scratched the car. And I don't care about scratching my truck, which means there's levels to this game for all of us.
Absolutely.
And until I have like $20, $30 million sitting around to where I'm like, whatever, you dinged my car at the valet, I don't care.
Yeah.
I know I'm at that spot that I should not be doing that because I would be upset. And I don't want to be upset.
Jason and I have talked about that. I'm with $50 million in the bank. I wouldn't. There's like a car doesn't. Maybe I would buy a NASCAR.
I've changed. Probably do that.
I've changed my mind on that stance. I think I would buy a NASCAR.
So many of my friends love supercars, and like I love that for them. But I'm like, there's nothing in your supercar world that I'm like absolutely in love with.
I'll keep driving my truck.
We were in Florida. You know, my guy's got a Porsche and he's got a TRX.
Yeah.
We didn't take the Porsche out once.
Yeah.
We took the TRX everywhere.
TRX is just as fun.
And it was a blast. And I was driving it, you know, and then I landed, got here, got in my Silverado, just as happy driving my Silverado as I was driving his TRX. And so I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
You got any others?
I don't. We're all good.
Chris, we appreciate you coming on with us today, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Great advice, good insight to what you do, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
We're pulling for you.
Anytime. Let me know what we can do to help. So.
Absolutely. All right, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.